I'm so glad to be on the camera with Mike and George of Human Code. Thanks for joining me today, guys.
You're
All
welcome.
right,
It's a
it's
pleasure
nice
to
to
be
see
here.
you.
How do you
Yes.
feel about the word supergroup?
Go ahead, Mike, and then I'll comment.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's flattering. I don't think any of us would have said that on our own, but it's flattering. It's nice. It's nice that people think that.
It's good to take the puzzle pieces of a different band and put them together in a different arrangement.
Yeah,
My opinion is a
that's
little silly, but we're just dudes, just like everybody else. No big deal.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Want to tell me a quick recap on how you guys came uh, together to start recording these songs? We covered a little bit of that in the last interview, but maybe just a quick recap for somebody who's just tuning into this one first.
Mike, I'll give my version, then give hers. Mine will be quick. I was trying to get a hold of Mike for quite a while, and because he only lived like 10 minutes away from me when I lived in Santa Clarita. I now live in Nashville, but then I was living in Santa Clarita, which is just outside of LA. And he lived literally like 10 minutes from me. And I remember my friend Ronson saying, we should write with or get together with Mike and see what he's doing. I'd call Mike, and there's like a few different times, oh, I'm too busy. I'm busy that. I got this, that, and that to do. So I kind of finally gave up on him. So I think finally Drew told him to call me. And then Mike called me out of the blue. And then he came over and played him some of my stuff. And I always like to say this. I've said this in a couple of interviews, but he listened to about 3 or 4 songs. Said, okay, I've heard enough. I'm in. So at that point, he thought I was worthy to jam with him. So then we started our writing relationship, and then a band came from that. So go ahead, Mike, give your version.
yeah. well, well, it's just that when I came over to George's place and I heard the music, I instantly connected with his songs, and I was inspired to write my own parts to it, and basically the vocal melodies and lyrics on almost all of them, and I just connected. We ended up having a chemistry, a writing chemistry, kind of like, I'll say Lennon McCartney, but I mean, I'm not glorifying us in that way, but it's kind of like that kind of a marriage, a writing marriage, where it really clicks together. And so, yeah, when I felt that, and I wrote the first couple of songs, and brought them back to George's studio and played them, I think we both instantly recognized, yeah, this is a good team. So
That's really cool. Well, this video is coming out on the day of release, which is an exciting day, and just want to hear your guys' thoughts on people being able to hear your music that you've been working so hard on.
Go ahead, Mike.
yes, we've been working really, really, really hard on this, putting many, many hours into it, to develop something that is unique, powerful, that speaks to people both lyrically and musically. And it's not just a mundane, just another project or another rock band or another this or another that. We want this to be really, really good and really special, and I think we've done that.
Yeah, we're pretty excited about it. As Mike says, it's been a little while. We're Mike's a perfectionist. I'm a perfectionist, and we've gone back and forth with these songs and landed. I think, especially with Dino Elefante's help, and pretty sure you're going to talk about that in a minute. But to really hone these tunes down to the best that they could be, because we could be here for another 2 years, like trying to make them better. But at this point, we just say, okay, this is it. Let's put it out.
Yep.
I'm really excited too. Go ahead. You can step on.
No, I agree. I totally agree with what George said. We finally realized, oh yeah, these songs they're ready. We're ready to put this album out and to make this known to the world. So,
Boy, howdy, I'll agree with you too that they are ready to be heard because I guess now, well, I'm not going to admit that I heard these tracks in advance because it's that technically that didn't happen, but man, these songs just sound ripping great, sonic perfection. There's something enticing and compelling about each track, and just so glad that today's finally come and everybody gets a chance to hear it. I want to transition into something I'd love to hear about from artists over the years is when they talk about each track, go through the tracks, You don't have to touch on lyrics or vocals or guitar parts or stories in the studio or songwriting, but or any or all of the above. Let's just start off with track one, lead off track. And George, let me know if I get out of order, but I'm going off of Break the Silence, lead off track.
Yeah, well,
I'll just say real quick on that, Mike. Then Mike chime in. That was the last song we wrote for this record, and that was at the suggestion of Dino. He said we needed a rocker on this record, and we actually, an up tempo one. So we said, okay. Mike and I had written this song before, and it was called Dr. Payne, and we kind of revisited it, and Mike rewrote the lyrics to this would break the silence, man. And when Dino and I heard it back from Mike, we said, "Wow, this is great." And it was one of those songs that came together really fast because a lot of our other songs didn't come together really fast, but this one did. And so we're really excited. It's the newest song written on the record, and it actually ended up being so cool. And Dino was so in love with it that we ended up just like calling the album "Break the Silence."
yeah. Well, when George said we needed a rocker, it's not like we don't have already rockers, but I think what he meant to say is this: we needed a faster song, more of an upbeat, in your face, faster song, and this really, really does the trick. But breaking the silence is basically about rising up from complacency and breaking the silence on things that should be spoken out about. Stop sitting on your hands and bring awareness to things that need to change. That's pretty much what it is. It's kind of an anthem-y, shouted out type of, break the silence, don't sit on your hands, talk about the stuff that needs to be changed in society. Yep.
Right on.
Or one way.
Okay, Say What You Mean. It's got a great hook to it. That chorus sticks in your head a good long while. Talk about this track.
I have to say that George didn't really like this one at first, but it turned out to be massive. And I kept on him about this. I said, "This is a great song." I mean, it turned out to be track number 2 because it's really, really good. I especially like George's lead guitar solo, by the way, in this song. But Say What You Mean is basically about, what the title says. Words have power. So say what you mean and mean what you say. And if you say, if you say you're going to do something, then do it. Let your words carry validity and accomplish something. So that's what that's about.
You know the old saying, "A man is only as good as his words." So these lyrics pretty much hammer that. But yeah, just to talk about what Mike just said, it was one of my least favorites on the record, but now it ended up being like pretty up there because when we just started like cutting parts and making it more concise and making it more to the point, I really started liking this song, and it's a great thing. So next.
One comment I have about what Mike said about me, what you say, and is like when somebody asks me, "Hey, will you pray for me?" What I'll always do, I've just made this a habit, is I'll immediately pray on the spot. I'll pray that prayer because I want to say, "Yeah, I'll pray for you," but I don't ever want to be that dude that forgets to pray for you when somebody requests it. So I've at least knocked off one prayer box by just praying on the spot. So I don't want to say I'm going to pray for you and not do it.
I'm going to have to interject something really funny here. I saw a meme once that said, people will laugh about this because I laughed about it. It's like this guy's going, "Oh man, there's Bob. I told him I'd be praying for him. I told him I'd pray for him. Lord, help Bob." And then he tells Bob, "Hey Bob, been praying for you."
Yeah. Oh, totally. I think I might have done that once or twice too.
Yeah, guilty.
"Hey Bob, been praying for you."
Oh, that's
Okay,
funny.
I hope I have some guests available for this next question. I think Pete Townsend and Roger Daltrey want to ask why you recorded their song "Rain on Me." Just kidding, but the third track is "Rain." Let's discuss amongst yourselves.
Yeah, well, my
They're going to
lyric.
get a royalty for it. No, I'm just kidding. I shouldn't say that because they might take me seriously.
I didn't steal it. It was a little bit of an inspiration, let's say. The Who was one of the bands that I liked growing up. And anyway, but the song itself is based on a man who lived for himself but gets his life right. I basically actually wrote these lyrics about myself. A short dive into my story. So, Rain.
Yeah. Yeah, Todd originally came up with the whole piano arrangement. He brought it to me, and then kind of arranged it more to make it more of a palatable song, and then just from there gave it to Mike, and he went to town with it. And it's actually one of the best songs on the record, in my opinion.
I really want to applaud you guys for the instrumentation on this album, keyboards and piano, and just the lightness and the heaviness all throughout the album. Really nice touch.
Thank you.
Everything seems
Thank
to
you.
complement or strengthen the song, which seems like a songwriter's go-to advice. You've done that well, I think. And also, just like with Mike's voice, I think these songs cater to your strengths, Mike, and you're showcased really well on this album.
Well, to interject here, because a lot of people, have likened Mike to some other singer that's in this band named Iron Maiden, I guess. But
I was
Mike
going to bring
sounds
it up,
nothing
have
like.
a hard
He
time.
sounds nothing. I know. Mike hates to hear that, but you know what? He will not get accused of that on this record. I promise you. I mean, I think Mike's kind of like found his voice in a sense where he's like. I mean, and Barry Cross he did too, but yeah, he's really got his. I think you stretch yourself, Mike, on this one. So that's hats off to you. That's good.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that.
So, Bruce, what do you? Oh, I'm sorry. I just got caught off track. Boom. Okay, moving on to genetic dysfunction.
Go ahead, Mike, and I'll throw
Well,
Mike 2 cents.
okay. Genetic dysfunction is more about our DNA structure, but really on a spiritual level. We come into this world as an incredible creation, a phenomenal creation, but with faults and challenges, and things that we have to work through. That spiritual DNA can change, either for the worse or for the better.
So this song is that riff. Everybody here? I've had that riff forever. I've had that riff since I was like almost a teenager, and I never found a home for it. And it was even going to be on a record at one point. Well, a band I used to be in that started with a D. You guys might have heard of them. But anyways, I remember we were playing with it at that point, but it never found a home anywhere. And Mike and I just kind of.
Until
What's
I
that?
heard it, I loved it. Until I heard it. When I heard
Yeah.
that, I thought, man, I'm going to write to this. This is great.
Well, see, that's the thing about Mike, and not blowing your head because it might not be able to fit on the screen if it gets any bigger. But the thing is, I give Mike something, man, and he runs with it. And I gave it to him, and yeah, he came back with this. I think I gave you the title. I said genetic dysfunction, and yeah, he just came back with that, and I was like, oh wow, this is great. I mean, we tweaked a couple things here and there, but overall, man. Yeah, that song works, and it's an old riff, and Mike just told you what the song was about. So, yeah, I think it works well.
Yep.
Awesome. Thematically, it sounds like a good follow-up to Rain. If Rain talks a little bit about getting on the right track and genetic dysfunction, changing that spiritual DNA, it sounds like a good thematic step.
I guess you're right. I didn't think of that, but you're probably right.
So, Don't Kill the Messenger.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So, if someone gives you a message about something that can help you, don't right away rebel against it, but see if you can use it to get to higher ground. You may not like the message right away, but don't kill the messenger.
Yeah, it's kind of like if someone tells you something again you don't want to hear. A lot of times, like let's just say even Christianity, you start blaming the whole Christianity. What if the guy that's actually giving you the message is a total jerk about it? It doesn't negate the message itself. It's actually the messenger. In that case, I'm not saying kill the messenger, but sometimes the messenger is just the person that's if you look at him and his imperfections, which every person has them, then you're always going to find something wrong. I heard a saying a long time ago: when you're looking for something wrong in a person or in a situation, you're going to find it. But if you are just take time to just consider the words being spoken to you, whether it's a friend of yours that's trying to talk you into doing something not stupid or something. Maybe you should consider what they're saying and not so much them as a person. Well, what about you? And you're well, they might be giving you some jewels that you need to hear, but you're gonna discount it because you're again killing the messenger.
I'm reminded of the scripture that says, "Don't despise prophecy," and that can be hard sometimes. But to take the time to listen and consider is wise counsel, I think.
Well, always if someone's going to find, I put this on up not too long ago, I think on Facebook. But if you're rebuking somebody, or not even rebuking, or like admonishing somebody to be more Christ-like or whatever, they can always turn around. What about you? Well, see, that's a prideful stance. I mean, you should always be humble enough to say, okay, let me consider what he's saying, even though I know that he's got these issues in his life. But then again, what person on this planet is going to be sinless that's going to be able to tell you, encourage you to be more like Christ per se? That's perfect. I mean, there's not one person on this planet, obviously, but uh, it's the message, not the messenger. There you go.
Yep.
Very cool. So we just covered the first 5 tracks, and I'm guessing, well, going back to the old school, this could be the end of side A or side 1. If this comes out on vinyl, do you think that those will be the track listings?
Well, what if you're playing it from an 8-track tape? What about that?
Yeah. Don't kill the message.
Yeah.
Talk about the track listing and how you chose these first 5 tracks and what came into that. Is there anything behind the selection process here?
Mike, I think you did most of that, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. That really doesn't have an explanation to go with it. It just happened organically. I must say, there's really no rhyme or reason. I guess everything considered, all things considered, I put the song order together, and it meshes really well now. But
just
yeah.
feels good. Feels good. There's no theological hardcore reason. It's just feels good musically.
No mathematical formula,
Yeah. We didn't invoke the gods and the metal gods and ask them.
Little gods. Yeah.
Hey, remember that was Doug? That was a term that Steve Rowe used to use a lot. The metal gods.
Oh yeah, they called them grind planets and yeah. So when I first heard this album, the stuff that just stood out to me the biggest was just the power and the majesty of some of these riffs, and I referenced some of the early power metal songs like the Long Live Rock and Roll album by Rainbow, Gates of Babylon. But the song Evermore is I just love this song. It's just epic. It's like Kashmir, throwing out a huge compliment there. Amazing song. Lyrics of just very intriguing, very modern, always relevant to today. So let's discuss my favorite track on the album, Evermore.
Okay.
Hey, is that a bird back there you have?
Yeah, we got some canaries.
Tell them to be quiet.
Shut up, will ya?
He's trying to get in on the interview, isn't he?
Everybody's going to hone in on this human code thing.
So George is going to have a lot to say about this. This is one of our favorite songs, actually. Even both of us, one of our favorite songs on the whole album. And before he talks about the musical aspect, which is amazing, the musical aspect to this, I'll just tell you what it's about, because this song is probably one of the most relevant. There's another one coming up that's really relevant to our time, but this one is very relevant to our time because it talks about, I wrote it about the 2 sons of Abraham, which are at war to this day. Ishmael, who became the Arab nations, and Isaac, who became the nation of Israel. And as I wrote in the song, quote, would Abraham want his sons to die? Unquote. One brother, has continuously tried to wipe the other off the face of the earth, and the other has spent more time defending himself more than anything else. And so it's just a constant evermore of war between the two. And so it's a unique thing in all the world, the Arab nations against Israel, and it's really unique. But anyway, George.
That's awesome, Mike, because I don't think coincidences happen with God, and I think that this song is going to get released in a good time when people really need to hear something like this and realize that it's an age-old battle that if you understand it biblically, what's going on over there, I think it gives you a different perspective. Obviously, the younger people don't know anything about what the biblical perspective is. I mean, especially these Americans that don't know anything about, a Muslim theology, or don't know anything about how the Palestinians worked in the past. Um, and their methods and all these things. They just are jumping on a bandwagon per se. And I think if you understand the history between Isaac and Ishmael, and it gives you the fresh perspective on today what's going on. Um, so without me fully explaining it biblically, check it out for yourself. And then I'm encouraging people to crack open their Bibles and kind of do the research on their own, not just take their liberal arts professor's word for it. Do some thinking, do some digging, do some research, and you'll find out what the real truth is about what's going on over there. And this song, I don't think it's a coincidence. I don't think it's by accident. I believe God works in mysterious ways and he works in powerful ways. And I think this song I don't know, but I think it may have a big impact on maybe what's going on over there right now and maybe turn some heads in the right way. So musically too, let me just say, I love that song musically. I mean, it's got those Arab themes in it and all that. And yeah, Mike says it's one of my favorite songs. It is my favorite song on the record. So I love this song.
Yeah, I personally really vouch for the musical aspect of it. It has that Middle Eastern vibe musically, but it's a good rock song. Don't get me wrong. And anyway, yeah, we're excited to see what the fans will think about this.
I bet it's going to be a good reaction. I like to call it a showstopper. It's one of those songs where you kind of almost want to stop and catch your breath when it's over, because it pounds you, it stimulates you, and you're mentally and sonically. It's just like I want to catch my breath, and then we go into 40 seconds, which is like tugs at my heartstrings. So tell me about that one.
That's Mike's baby. Mike, go ahead. That's your baby.
Okay. Yeah, 40 seconds. I wrote that about an astronaut who goes into space, but never returns home. It's kind of a story of, he's up there and he's reminiscing and he's doing his workouts in the gym and he's doing different things, but something happens and he ends up never being able to return home. It's just his past life. It ends up being his past life, Earth. I mean, anyway, so it's a story. It's kind of a heart-wrenching story, and there are some sound clips in the end that are actually taken from the what was that spaceship, the explosion that happened in the 80s? What was
Challenger?
the name of that? Yes, the Challenger. Yeah,
Challenger.
Those are actual real. Yeah, those are real. That's real footage, audio footage that's in that song from the Challenger accident that killed everybody on board.
Way to go, Mike. Now we're going to get sued.
No.
We're all just going to be depressed for a couple minutes. So then we go into another biting song, Socially Incorrect.
I'll let Mike start on this one. I'll throw my 2 cents in.
Yeah, this is the other very relevant song to today. Basically, I am socially incorrect. In other words, I am not politically correct. I believe political correctness is one of the great evils of our time. And I'm not going to unpack that here because that's a loaded thing to explain, but we're definitely anti-political correctness of any kind.
When it comes to wokeness and all this stuff, I don't want to take the stance of like how polarized this country's become, the United States, because it has, and I think there's powers that be that actually purposely want to do that. I'd like to look at us all as Americans and where we all can unite somehow. But man, some of these things it starts to look like we're heading towards some kind of civil war, and that's unfortunate because if we're all just Americans wanting to live the American dream and all that stuff, and live free and not be have a tyrannical government that runs our lives, every aspect of our lives. we should all unite in that way. And but I don't know how possible that's going to be. I really don't. People at the end of the day like to laugh, like to have a good time, like to be with family, like to, and it's just unfortunate how things are kind of going right now. It's not good, and no matter what side of the aisle you're on, I mean, you have to humanize the other side, because if you don't, then it just turns into chaos and war, and you want to eliminate the other side as opposed to reach out to them and unite with them. And I don't want to sound like this tree hugger right now, because I'm not. I'm not a tree hugger. But at the same time, it's just, especially from the Christian standpoint, I mean, we want to be more uplifting than downgrading, shall we say.
Well, oftentimes, the result of political correctness in any form, oftentimes it results in the destruction of the human race, the destruction of life, the destruction of who we are as people, the destruction of belief in God. Belief. Anybody who's politically correct, chances are they don't believe in God either. They're living for themselves. And anyway, that's pretty much all I'll say about that. But.
I think that when George's camera went off, he took a plant on his desk and he hugged it and gave it little kisses and put it back.
Sorry, that was a stupid call that came in. Sorry about that.
So Blame Me, track number 9.
Okay, Blame Me is basically a love song, but more about a man who realizes that he's in a relationship that he should not be in. And so he makes the choice to do the right thing and leave, but in doing so breaks the other person's heart. It's sad, but it's what he has to do.
Good old-fashioned love song. Just a good old-fashioned love song. There you go.
Coming down.
And a heartbreak song.
Yep.
So last track, Lying Whispers.
Oh, Mike knows that I like to talk about this one. And, this is an important song, too, because it's about suicide and suicide prevention, and trying to encourage people that there is something to live for, and you don't have to do that route of ending your own life. I mean, suicide rates are going through the roof. In COVID, they really just, and I gotta be honest with you, I can't relate to that, because I think the gift of life is so important. I don't just believe in that from the point of an abortion type issue, but even the life that we have. I mean, if we throw it down the drain by abusing our bodies with drugs and alcohol, bad food, whatever, it is. I think we're cheapening the gift that God gave us, and God gave us this gift of life, and for us to do. Especially those that are children, to do great things with it. And if you just because you're going through some hard times, want to cast that in and somehow kill yourselves, because don't kid yourself. There's people that are people of faith that take their own lives. And I wouldn't say they have a great faith, because if they did, they'd trust in God and get through. Because guess what? Which one of us here know that we were promised that we weren't going to have any hardships or problems in this life?
Right.
None of us, right? We're all gonna have them. I mean, so there's no temptation that's overtaking you, such as a common demand. So, in other words, everything that God allows us to go through, I think He allows us to go through it because we can get through it. So you can get through it. And with this song live, I've told Mike and I've told the rest of the guys in the band that I'd like to put up some kind of hotline that what we can encourage people to do, that to go to live when we play live, because again, it's not just people that don't have any faith, but even people of quote unquote faith are ending their lives. And yeah, that's a bad thing. It really is. And it's a very real thing in our time right now.
Well, we're in a time of great desperation and struggle, and there are a lot of people who think that the pain will end if they kill themselves. Well, however, that's not only untrue, but there's always a reason to get back up on your feet. Always a reason to get back up on your feet here and now. There's something great. This is the thing I want people to know. There's something great about every single one of us, and that we need to find out what that is and use it. I always tell somebody, just because I'm a lead singer doesn't make me more special than you. You can do something that I can't. And so, we have to figure out what that thing is and use it. Life is not without its challenges, but that's why the smart ones, the wise ones, go to God. He's the answer to all things.
Amen.
Amen. Good way to cap off the album. So I'd like you to address, there's three different types of people that might be watching this. One is the person who's on the edge of their seat. They're probably going to get up and go buy the album. I'd like you to say something to that person, and then I'll tell you who the other two people are after that.
Don't just go buy the album, but buy it and share it with people, and let who knows, again, some of these lyrics that we've talked about, that Mike's talked about, it might be something they need to hear and read, and with some great music behind it. Hey, music, the power of music, man. Ooh, don't ever underestimate it. So when you get this album, don't just keep it to yourself. Share it with other people.
Oh yeah, share it. And it's such a powerhouse of music. There's just some. I mean, that's kind of a term that's been used so many times, but wow, does it apply here? This band is a powerhouse of great music. I'm so proud of what we have done. I'm grateful, Godful, but I'm really, really stoked about releasing this album more than any other album that I think I've ever put out with any of my previous groups. And I think George probably believes the same thing.
Yes.
Wow. Well, the other dude is the dude that just went to the store and got the album. He's got the album in his hand. He's about to stick it in the CD player or put it on the turntable and play it. What do you want to say to him before he hears note 1, track 1?
Take a deep breath.
And turn it up.
Yeah, there you go. All the above.
Turn it up all the way. That's right.
All right, the third person I want you to say something to is just finished listening to all 10 tracks.
Which one's your favorite? Which one speaks to you the most?
Yeah, thank you, George. That's one of the things that it has my curiosity more than anything is what are people's favorite songs and what is it about that song that they like or touch them or whatever, whether musically or lyrically. Either way, I want to know. Also, I would encourage all of the listeners to start commenting in social media anywhere, and just tell us what are the songs that you really, really like or really attached to in some way. So we want to know that. That's really important.
Awesome. Well, guys, I thank you for your time today, and I'm really glad that Heaven's Metal Magazine is one of the several partners who are coming together to help promote and talk about this album. We're going to have some more opportunities for you guys to speak to our audience later. We already had one really cool 1 hour long interview with George and Dino talking about this. So we're going to have more coming down the pike, and we just want to celebrate this great release with you guys. And thanks for being one of many partners to help push and promote this worthy project.
Well, thank you for bringing us on, man. Thank you, Doug.
Doug, you've always been a great source for me of encouragement, a great source of credibility. So thank you for your support with this, because that means, believe it or not, it means a lot to me. It means a lot to Mike, to Terry, to Todd. I don't think you're just like giving us the same support you give everybody else. I think maybe you're seeing that this album is possibly a special thing.
Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm responding in passion.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
As they say at Chick-fil-A, my pleasure.
Speaking about Chick-fil-A, what about those birds that we hear in the background there? Are they going to be on the menu or no?
Yeah, pass me your gun. We'll put them out of their misery and fry them up.
Not enough meat. They're little canaries.
Not enough meat.
Having some quail at their fine restaurant.
There you go.
Well, guys, thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you, Doug.
You betcha.
God bless you, man.
God bless you.